Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here, the 3 Topics Gamer, here to share with you one of my requested top 5 list videos to share with you guys today. This particular idea was sent to me by one of my pretty regular viewers in the name of Sean the Deer Man. And in this age of cinema, a lot of movies are primarily either remakes, sequels, or reboots. So for this particular video, he asked me to share what are 5 films that I believe deserve a sequel that haven't come out yet, because they definitely release a lot of sequels or remakes or reboots to films that don't need them. But these are 5 films that I think absolutely do need them. So if you do happen to enjoy this list by the end, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Keep tracking me on my future videos. And remember, if you guys have any ideas for other future top list videos, or ranking videos, or reaction videos, or just discussion videos in general, please make sure you let me know in the comments down below, and I will try to get them up as soon as I can. And let's start off with what I believe is probably one that is pretty low on my list, but it's only low on my list because there perhaps is a lot of talk about a sequel to this film. But until I see a trailer or a poster, I'm not going to believe it. And that film has to go to 2005's Constantine, starring Keanu Reeves. Now, if they happen to announce this movie, say, today, and this comes out in 2025, that actually might be a perfect time to do a sequel, because it will have actually been 20 years since the release of the original film. And now that Keanu Reeves' career has him more popular than ever, and he's taken a break from the John Wick franchise, and The Matrix was a complete failure, this is a perfect time to do a sequel to this film. I mean, we don't even have to consider what's going on with the DCU, since John Constantine is a DC character, so this actually gives him a lot more freedom to just be its own story and be its own thing. I think there's definitely a lot of characters and a lot of stories and a lot of directions you could take John Constantine after such a long period of time. So yeah, of course, I think the 2005 film deserves a sequel, absolutely. Going on to number 4 is another film that I don't think was either received well or did well in the box office, but personally, it's a movie that I really enjoyed it, and it actually had a pretty cool game to go with it, and that is in the form of 2004's Van Helsing, starring Hugh Jackman. I don't know why we never got a sequel to this. I mean, I know that the Dark Universe with all the Universal monsters kind of fell flat on its face, but there's still plenty of Universal monsters that I think John Constantine could go up against that weren't used in the first film. And I'm sure maybe if Hugh Jackman is wanting to get into shape to play Wolverine one more time in Deadpool 3, I think he can get in shape one more time to play this character one more time. Plus, I really thought his weapon collection was just very, very creative. I thought the action scenes were great. I thought the story was actually pretty solid. I mean, nothing incredible or Oscar-worthy, but heck, for a movie like this, you don't need to do that. So yeah, I absolutely do believe that the 2004 Van Helsing film certainly does deserve a sequel. Going on into number 3 is a film that it is an absolute crime we did not get a sequel to this film, because the first film was so incredibly awesome. And that is 2012's Dread, or technically Dread 3D at the time, because I do think that the 2010 period was kind of the era where like a lot of films were doing 3D. And this is actually one of the few films I did see it in 3D, and it was actually, my experience was actually a little bit more enhanced. On top of that, this is without question my favorite film that Carl Urban ever did. Like, this is clearly a sign that he can, in the right property, in the right direction, and right script, he can certainly be a leading man. And this takes a massive dump on that old 90s Sylvester Stallone Judge Dredd film, which took a dump on that character with him having to remove his helmet. I think Carl Urban did an incredible job as Dredd, absolutely faithful to the comic book interpretation. And yeah, it kind of took inspiration from movies like Die Hard and The Raid, but I certainly think that with Dredd as a character and that megacity setting, you certainly could take on another threat. And the funny thing is that the slow motion and the visuals for this film were still, to this day, are still pretty incredible. It's still crazy to think that this film is 12 years old, which is crazy how time flies. And the use of slow motion was actually a plot element that it was included and used pretty smartly, I might say. But yeah, I know that there may have been talk that they did want to do that. I think Carl Urban said he wanted to do a sequel, but I think it maybe just box office wise it just didn't do enough. But I really would like them to give this movie a chance. If not do a movie, I would love them to do another series. I know that Carl Urban is doing a great job in The Boys, and I think he just finished doing Mortal Kombat 2. So I would love for him to revisit this character one more time. So yeah, let's get a sequel to 2012's Dread, either in a movie form or television series. I think either one the fans would accept. So that's why it's number 3 on my list. Number 2 on my list is a movie that left off on a cliffhanger, and I don't know why we never got a sequel to this, but it absolutely deserves it, in the form of 2008's Hellboy 2: The Golden Army. This was a major improvement over the first one, which I thought the first Hellboy film with Ron Perlman was good. The second one was great, which the funny thing is a lot of comic book style movies at that time were kind of going through that trend where the first film was really good, the second film was great, but then the third one kind of fell off, so I don't know if they were afraid of that. I don't know why we never got a sequel to that film, because it absolutely did leave off on a pretty solid cliffhanger that I was very interested to find out what was going on, and instead we got that sort of rebooted film that really wasn't all that good, so made me even more upset that we never got a sequel to this. But I'm sure if there's enough demand, or if the cast and crew and if a director would want to give this series a proper ending and give us a true Hellboy trilogy, I'm sure we would be sure to get it. So yeah, that's why I think Hellboy 2: The Golden Army certainly deserves a sequel. Number 1 on my list is a sequel to a movie that it was incredibly successful, incredibly badass, and it was a fantastic film. Not just a good or great film. This movie was absolutely fantastic, and in my opinion, it was the best in this franchise. And we are getting a sequel connected to it, but we aren't getting a sequel, and I don't know why. And that movie, of course, has to go to Mad Max Fury Road from 2015. Why have we not had a sequel to this? Now, I understand a Furiosa film is coming out later this year. I don't want to see that, because it just flat out does not make sense. How the hell do you make a Mad Max film and Mad Max is nowhere to be seen in this film? Maybe he's in it. He probably won't be in the film. I'm just making this statement that if you're going to stick with the Mad Max series, Mad Max needs to be involved. Max needs to be involved in some way. And I'm even going to take this another step further. I think it would have been the best choice for anyone who saw Mad Max Fury Road. It probably would have been the better idea had they just cast Charlize Theron as Max. Hear me out. I know at the time, if they had done that, there would have been all this controversy about how they're, gender switching all these iconic characters and turning them female. But I think that had Charlize Theron been Max in that film as it played out, it would have been one of the few times where they did that and it actually worked out. Because let's be fair, Tom Hardy's Max was almost just a side character in his own film, and you could have replaced him with any character, any random stranger character, any nameless character of some random name. Call him, I don't know, Ranger Bob or something, and the movie wouldn't have changed, because the clear main character was Furiosa. So I think following that story moving forward would have worked out just perfectly fine. But again, I want a sequel to this film, not a prequel. I know that Furiosa was easily the focus of that film and was easily the main character, and in many cases was the best character in that film. And so why they want to do a backstory on her is understandably, but I kind of want to see where her story goes moving forward. Or perhaps her story ended in Mad Max Fury Road, but now they want to do a backstory. Maybe that was their thinking. But I personally would love for them to do a sequel with Mad Max. Perhaps if they bring Tom Hardy, he can actually be the main character and the primary focus that drives the story moving forward, and he can just go on another crazy adventure in the wasteland. So that's why it's number 1 on my list. So those are 5 films that I think deserve sequels. I would like to know, what are 5 films that you really enjoyed that you think deserve sequels? Let me know in the comments down below, and make sure you don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe. Keep tracking me on my future videos. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I'll see you guys next time.